Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to my channel. Cory here. Long time no see. um, I haven't posted a video in a while, and this video isn't necessarily going to be very pagan or very witchy, but I thought it was only fair to pop on here and let you guys know what the fuck has been happening the past couple weeks and just kind of catch you up to speed, because we've made some changes in this household and it's been a lot to work through. It's been a lot. So just to kind of go backwards a little bit, we made some changes at the end of September, and those changes have been a long time coming. Back in January, February of this year, we had just a lot of things going on with regard to my kiddos and their school. My kids have attended public school since they were in kindergarten, although my oldest first year in kindergarten was a little weird. We had to change schools in the middle of the year because of an on-site daycare issue with the elementary school that is in the district that we're zoned for. And long story short, we had to yank her out, put her into a private school, and then kind of restarted by transferring the kids to a completely different district that had more resources for us the following year. My kids are only one grade apart. I have my baby, my little girl just started, although they're not so little anymore, but she just started the 4th grade in August, and my son just started the 3rd grade in August. So they are like super close, and they're only 17 months apart. That was planned, just so you know. Would I do it again? Yes. But let's just say that the first couple years of their life was a hellscape of diapers. It's a lot. And because they're so close in age, they tend to learn a lot of the same concepts together. They're, had been along the same learning trajectory for a little while. And as they've gotten older and their personalities have developed, it's been made clear how their learning styles, what their best learning style is, or the learning styles that work best for them are. We face some challenges, and I think every family does, especially when it comes to educating children. Kids don't come with manuals. We've heard that saying touted for years. My mom used to say it to me when I was a kid. Kids don't come with manuals, and every kid is different. And yet, in the United States, we have a huge emphasis on standardized testing. We have a huge emphasis on very large class sizes and trying to treat every kid the same way and try and bring this entire group of kids in learning the same concepts at the same time. And our curriculum for each grade really has a lot to do with, okay, by the time they graduate high school, they should have learned all of these different things. How do we split that up over 13 years so that they learn everything we just expect them to learn within this time span? Let's bucket it out evenly by age. There's not a lot of, there's no psychological support to back up how we split up curriculum and whether or not a kid is developmentally prepared to absorb said curriculum and lessons, right? It's all, like I said, just bucketed by age, and here's how much time we have, and let's see how much we can squeeze in with this amount of time. It's a lot. It's a lot to ask for kids in general. I had difficulties with the public school system growing up. And, you know, the last time I was in school, I graduated in 2003. A lot has changed since then. It is now fall 2020. And, you know, a lot has also stayed the same. And a lot of the things that have stayed the same are the things that I struggled with. And the fact that we haven't changed those things, and a large number of kids still struggle with them today, is very upsetting. You know? And we needed a change. My family needed a change. In February in particular, I started thinking about what it would be like to homeschool my children. Now, I had thoughts about this before that point, but I always came back to the same conclusion, and I kind of came back to the same conclusion back in February. It wasn't financially feasible. There wasn't any way for either my husband or myself to quit our jobs, and my mind had a very narrow focus on what homeschooling looked like. Okay? Because I wasn't really exposed to a lot of kids who had been homeschooled when I was growing up. And even now, I have a couple girlfriends who homeschool, but their homeschool model looks the same as what I had pictured in my mind. A parent who stays home, or if they work, they have their own business that they can, you know, do in between, you know, certain hours, you know, of the day. They can create media posts or marketing posts at midnight and, you know, have a scheduled poster to post them during the day while they're going through lessons and, you know, learning activities with their kids. I have a corporate job. You know, it may look like a lot of YouTubers online do this full time. The majority of us do not. We don't make money off of this. We don't have enough views or subscribers or whatever to make it worthwhile even to get a little bit of revenue from AdSense. And even if we do have those numbers, chances are we're not making enough money to live off of. Most of the, you know, friends that I have that do this, that do have a few thousand, you know, several thousand followers, do get a lot of views on their videos, get like maybe $100 a month off of AdSense. Maybe. That's not even a guarantee. So that's not enough to live on, to be fair. So in doing this is just something that we enjoy doing or that we feel called to do. And we've got regular Joe jobs, you know? We've got 9-to-5ers, as it were, day jobs, muggle jobs. I call them muggle jobs. And mine happens to be a corporate job. Not that you would guess that I have a corporate job with the way I dress, but I do have a corporate job. I work in mortgage servicing / banking. I know, right? But that's what I do. And I work in the compliance and project management area of that. A lot of spreadsheets, a lot of data files, a lot of numbers, okay? And a lot of law review. I spend a huge chunk of my time, or at least I have in the last 8 years of my career, combing through legislature, Senate bills, assembly bills, looking through them and helping operations really and legal come together to decide what they're going to do about those assembly and Senate bills and how the company that I happen to work for is going to move those along, right? It is a fairly well-paying job. It's a decent job, I would say. So backtracked a little bit. It's a decent job, okay? It pays for the roof over our heads. You know, it's paid for this house. It has been able to allow us to continue to live in the very expensive area that is San Diego County. Because most 35-year-olds that I know, folks my age, millennials and under, we can't afford to buy houses without assistance from our parents, without, a really well-paying job. I'm talking 6 figures, right? And I don't make that. So we've gotten very lucky. We're very privileged to be in the position that we're in. And I've worked my ass off to get us to this point. My husband's job doesn't make nearly as much money as mine, but it's a really good job. We both love it. It also gives us a certain amount of flexibility. There's pros and cons to both of our day jobs, if you will. But they're both essential to us being able to live here, to be able to do what we do, for me to also have time to record videos like this. Not that I've had a lot of time recently. But in my mind, every time I considered homeschooling, it just didn't seem possible. It didn't seem feasible. I was like, there's no way that I can do schooling full time for 2 little guys, 2 little ones, and still work the job that I work. And it's a frustrating position to be in. To know that you may potentially have a solution that really helps your kids, that is fulfilling for everyone involved, and you can't move forward on it, right? It just that idea just has to sit up on the shelf and collect dust. It's a frustrating experience. But I continue to think that, between all of the emails back and forth between teachers, all of the extra time we were spending at home, not just with schoolwork, but with other activities as well, that eventually we would get to a spot where the kids felt really comfortable and were moving along at a pace that was really good for them, but also satisfied all of the administrators and the teachers as well, and everybody involved in the public school side of things. But we hit a lot of snags this year. In February, I was close to a breaking point, as was one of my kiddos. There was a lot going on with them, and I felt powerless. And as a parent, feeling powerless to help your child sucks in more ways than I can express. Just feeling like, the kid just has to, let's just say I never want to be put in a position where I basically have to look at my child and say, well, suck it up. It's the way things are. That was told to me more times than I can count as a kid. And, maybe it's my Sagittarius moon. Maybe it's my Virgo sun looking for solutions to problems. Maybe it's all of my Leo placements that are like, I'm better than that. Maybe it's the whole thing, the whole combination. But my personality was like, that's not a fucking good enough answer. I need to understand the why behind everything. And maybe that's also partly why I'm good at my job too. The muggle job. I don't just accept well, that's the way things are. That's the way they've always been. And that's the way they're going to be. I don't accept that as an answer to any fucking thing. I don't. And I don't think anybody else should either, personally. I need a damn good explanation for why we got to do something this specific way, or I'm going to look for a better fucking way to do it. Sorry. That's how it's going to be. And I hit my max limit on, well, this is the way we do things. as answers to questions dealing with the public school system. So I kind of sat with it and I was like, what do I do? You know, Spirit, what do I do? Reached out to my guides. God, I prayed to Persephone more times than I could count. Just, how do I solve this? And then in March, COVID really came down on the United States, as a lot of you guys know. And stay-at-home orders started to be implemented in several different states. One of those states is the state we live in, California. And so the last time they were physically in a classroom was March 13th. And we, adjusted, we transitioned into distance learning. And I thought, okay, well, maybe this is the blessing that I need, right? Because I can sit there with them and provide assistance while they're doing their lessons. But I also got to make sure that I'm taking care of my job. The muggle job that I'm responsible for, the job I get paid for. My God, you guys. That was a different kind of struggle altogether. So when summer hit, I was like, okay, we can adjust. We can do this. Things lightened up a bit. I was able to focus on my job, but then as well, give a lot of time to the kids. And that's what I did. I did the best I could, I think, from June all the way through August when the new school year started up. And let me tell you, the new requirements that they put in place for distance learning and how they wanted kids to basically fulfill all of the requirements of what they would normally do if they were on campus, right? And live and in-person instruction. While also dealing with a pandemic that no one had ever dealt with like this before. We had meltdowns. We had lots of meltdowns. Even for my other kiddo, who is fairly level-headed, and can roll through just about any change. They both just were not having it. And so by the time the change came around after 5 weeks, where we were going to transition to a hybrid of, okay, yeah, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, but we really need to get the kids inside the classroom. So you're going to spend 3 days doing distance learning at home and 2 days on campus. But with all of these additional restrictions in place. I was like, and you guys expect kids to be able to handle that when adults have not been able to handle this very well? I don't know. Long story short, I finally had it. I went back to Spirit and I was like, what the fuck do I do? And they were like, idiot, we told you what to do. You need a homeschool. You've had this idea for years. You were ready to pull the plug in February. We gave you an opportunity to do that. You now work from home. So why haven't you done it yet? Because you know how Spirit likes to smack you upside the head and go, hey, gave you the answer. You just didn't want to hear it. Or you didn't want to act on it. Okay, got you. So I started reaching out to those friends of mine who do homeschooling. And I said, what the fuck do I do? And they said, well, how much time are you spending, on their education already with this distance learning stuff that seems bonkers to us? And I said, probably about 4 hours a day. And a girlfriend of mine who homeschools all 5 of her children looked at me and said, honey, I barely spend 4 hours a day homeschooling. You're already doing it. Only if you do it this way, you have full control over their curriculum. And they have more freedom to choose what it is they want to learn about. You guys, I don't know why I didn't do this in February. We've been homeschooling for 5 weeks now. Or we're in the middle of our 5th week. And it's working for us. And I understand that this still isn't an option for everybody. It's not like, you know, I'm not on here just advocating, hey, everybody, fucking just homeschool your kids. I think what I wanted to get on here and really, if I leave you with any message at the end of this video, it's 2 things. 1, hey, here's why I've been gone. We had a big life change. We're trying to straighten shit out. And number 2, anytime you come up against something that you think is absolutely impossible, come at it from another angle. Because I assure you, most of what you think can't be done can be done, just maybe not the way that you envisioned it. And also, maybe a third message. Trust Spirit the first time. If they give you an answer, it's the fucking answer. And they're just going to sit there and look at you like this until you actually listen to the answer. So that's what's been going on. I got some books. And the more I read, the more upset I get. But my husband likes to tell me that anger is my default setting. So there is that. The first one is Dumbing Us Down. And this is a series of essays by John Taylor Gatto. This was originally published, I want to say in 91? Could be wrong. Hold please. Hold please. First edition was in 92. And this was after John had won, like, New York Teacher of the Year. And he gave this speech that was kind of, like, controversial at the time. But basically saying, like, hey, we don't actually teach. Here's what teachers do. And you can make decisions for yourself what the fuck that is. But, you know, basically, he rips apart everything wrong with the modern day school system. And, you know, like, give you an example. This is from Zachary Slayback, who did the foreword. We don't need school reform. Schools are working exactly as their designers intended. We need more choices and options outside of school. At the end of the day, the person who creates those is you. Stop waiting for permission from others to create opportunities to learn. So again, series of essays by John, and I'm about halfway through it. And a lot of these essays are just shocking. It's my dog trying to get into the office. Sorry. But a lot of really good information. Suggest at least checking it out. And then this one, homeschooling and working. Because I'm like, holy crap, what do I do? And even if I weren't working from home, I think that this would still, you know, we would find a way for this to be an option for us. Probably through having someone watch the kids during the day and then doing kind of what we're doing now, which is a, you know, once I'm done for the day with work, and today Jason's home, he's basically, you know, on Wednesdays, he takes care of the kids because he has the day off and he follows the lesson plan that I've set out for them. But for the other days, you know, I finish up, we do our lessons in chunks, and really, I use the word lessons very loosely because a lot of what we do is project-based and watching documentaries on the weekends and doing science experiments and, you know, trying to follow thought trains. Like, if the kids start coming up to me and asking questions about, hey, you know, why do sharks not swim backwards? Let's look that up. let's pull that out. Let's dive down that rabbit hole. And so there have been a lot of rabbit holes over the last 5 weeks. In fact, the kids have kind of become obsessed with this documentary. We've watched it a couple times together. The Biggest Little Farm. It's about Apricot Lane Farms here in California. How it got going. It's 7-year journey to try and do natural farming with the environment, right? And they've fallen in love with it. And so there've been a lot of questions about farming and, how do we produce food? How do we grow food? What happens when the food's grown and harvested? How does it get into the supermarket? So we've just kind of followed those thought trains and read a couple books. We've, looked at more documentaries that we've bookmarked and are going to be taking a look at next month. The kids got obsessed and were like, hey, why don't we read Charlotte's Web while we're looking at all this farm stuff? So we picked that up and we're going to start reading it next week. The kids are obsessed with Harry Potter. My sister happens to be an ex-teacher. So on Thursdays, which is one of my heaviest call days, she does a Zoom with them for like 2 hours, and they read Harry Potter and they have discussions about Harry Potter and they do fun Harry Potter-esque activities, and the kids get really excited and they pull out their wands from Harry Potter world and they dress in their Hogwarts robes and they get like all into it, and like that's our Thursday stuff. So I don't think it needs to be complicated. We're making it work with all of the people in their lives that love them and want what's best for them. And I have to say, I'm really, really lucky that I have these resources. I'm really fucking lucky that I have these people in my life, that the kids have these people in their lives. But, I guess at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is I got in my own way. And even after doing this work for 21 years, I still get in my own way. And I'm working on recognizing that faster and then getting out of my own way faster. But also leaning into my personality of, no, that doesn't fucking work for me. I'm going to find a better solution for us that works for us. And I did. I let myself get so angry and bent out of shape that I was like, I ain't going to stand for this anymore. And it took me 4 days, you guys, 4 days to look up all of the legal requirements for the state, to write everything down, to get all of my ducks in a row, and fucking yank them from school. And in the past 5 weeks, I've seen a 180 with my kids. And that's something I can't buy. I can't. The greatest piece of magic we can perform is believing in ourselves and believing that we can find a solution to any problem, no matter how insurmountable it seems. So I guess there's that. If you take anything away from this video, it's that. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Okay? If you have a goal, no matter how big, you can get it done. You have that power. All right, loves, that's it. I've already droned on for much, much longer than I intended to in this video. Hope you're having a great time wherever you are. We'll be back with more magical videos. We have a huge book haul. Cult Book Haul Volume 4 is coming. We still have to do alternatives to the Crone. Want to talk about tarot again? This is the new Tarot del Toro that came yesterday. You guys, this tarot deck is so beautiful. If you like Guillermo del Toro's work, you have to get this deck. It is so fucking good. It is so good. And I love block printing. And this artist, Tomasio, did a freaking phenomenal job on this deck, can I just say. Beautiful. So yeah, little teaser there. There will be more tarot coming to the channel, along with other witchy things. But for right now, that's what we're doing. That's where we are. We are homeschooling. I've been thinking maybe of pulling together any pagan resources I find as we start shuffling through this, because one of the most aggravating things about getting started with homeschooling is how many freaking Christian resources you run into. Which, if you're a Christian household, that's wonderful. Like, hats off to you guys. You went balls to the walls with resources. You guys have created so much stuff. However, for secular folks, for, you know, other religious folks, you know, there's not a lot of resources out there specifically tailored to other religions, you know? So I'm trying to find more pagan-esque lessons and stuff to kind of dive into that's not just, hey, Wheel of the Year, which is more modern construct. Yeah, kind of hitting a wall, but I'm finding some good things. So thinking of kind of pulling together a resource list at the same time, like, I don't know how much interest there is in all of this. So what I might do is I'm going to be relaunching my Patreon next month. I had a Patreon. I ended up closing it last year. And I think we're going to bring it back. Because that's what I wanted to use as a dumping ground for a lot of the Solomonic magic, the Goetic magic, the, you know, all of the other, you know, darker occult stuff. Kind of pouring a lot of those, you know, posts and videos on there. That because of that, I might push all of the, you know, pagan homeschool and just homeschool in general stuff on there as well. I'm thinking of just kind of using Patreon as basically a dumping ground for a lot of my more non-mainstream stuff. It's a thought. I'm mulling it over. I'm still trying to figure out how it's going to look, but it definitely will not be as structured as it was last year. If you happen to have been a patron of mine last year for my Patreon, it's going to look very, very different. This is going to be a lot more loose, more free-flowing, and tiers are definitely going to be less structured. It's going to be a little bit more of a pay what you can type of deal. More info on that later. This was not supposed to be a video to talk about Patreon. But let me know in the comments below if you happen to be interested in more resources. I don't know how many people follow me have kids, to be perfectly honest with you. But if it's something that strikes your fancy, let me know and we'll see what I can pull together. All right, folks, have a good day. Make sure you get out there and vote if you have not already and you are in the US. Okay? And I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, blessed be.